Engines don't usually die suddenly. They're murdered slowly by neglect. And the number one killer? Ignoring the easiest check you can do at home. Just 2 minutes once a month determines whether your engine lives to 200,000 miles or seizes up before 100,000. If that sounds dramatic, wait until you see how this tiny routine step keeps metal parts from grinding together and destroying any chance of recovery. Why do so many car owners end up facing a repair bill of $6,000 or more, when the truth is a simple habit that costs nothing could have stopped it from ever happening? People often assume engines just suddenly fail, but that's not how it works. Engines don't collapse from one big mistake. They die little by little from small problems that keep getting ignored. And here's the frustrating part. Those small problems are almost always easy to spot long before things get bad. The issue is that most drivers never take the 2 minutes it takes to check for them. Think about the warning lights on your dashboard. The moment that oil light, temperature light, or check engine light shows up, the damage isn't about to start. It's already been happening. By the time you see a flashing light, parts inside your engine have been scraping, heating, or misfiring for weeks or even months. That warning is the equivalent of an emergency alarm, not a gentle reminder. In hospital terms, it's like a code red, not an annual checkup. And when people wait for that light, they're gambling with damage they can't undo. It's no different than ignoring pain in a tooth. You don't suddenly wake up one morning and need a root canal. That root canal starts months before when you skip brushing and shrug off the little aches from cavities. What could have been avoided with a quick 2-minute routine becomes hours in a dentist's chair and a bill you'll feel in your wallet. Engines follow that same exact logic. A skipped check turns into grinding pistons, blocked cooling systems, or silent electrical failures just waiting to explode into costly repairs. Here's where it gets real. A man in Texas ignored his oil for months after his last change because he thought, like a lot of people do, that the light will tell me when it's low. He never checked it, never looked under the hood, and one afternoon on the highway, his engine stopped cold. The oil had run low and turned into thick sludge, choking the life out of the motor. That $35 oil change magically transformed, with no warning light in time, into a $7,200 engine replacement. It didn't happen overnight. It built up sip by sip, drive by drive, until the motor finally gave up. Automotive experts say this over and over. Publications like Consumer Reports and Car and Driver stress that the single most important factor in making a car last isn't technology, isn't brand, isn't luck. It's simple preventive maintenance. They've tested and reviewed thousands of vehicles across decades, and the pattern is always the same. Cars last longer, cost less over time, and hold up better when their owners commit to small, regular habits instead of waiting for big problems to force repairs. The scary part? Most car owners never build those habits at all. They think maintenance means waiting for a mechanic to do the work on schedule. But routine care, especially the one critical task each month, doesn't need a mechanic. It doesn't even cost money. It just takes awareness and a willingness to lift the hood for 2 minutes. The difference between doing it and skipping it is literally the difference between a small, free habit and an expensive replacement. Your engine is like a patient kept alive by constant life support. Fluids, electrical signals, and moving parts all depend on steady, reliable upkeep. Neglect that upkeep, and the support system breaks down until the heart of the machine, the engine itself, flatlines. That's where the $6,000 repair bill comes from. And yet, unlike medical care, this life support costs nothing but a small slice of your time. Most car owners don't realize what they're missing here. There is one 2-minute ritual, often ignored, that quietly protects engines from the most expensive failures. It's not difficult, it's not complex, and it doesn't even get your hands dirty if you do it right. Coming up, we're going to dig into that overlooked step, the one move that saves more engines than any other, and why skipping it is the single fastest way to send your car's heart straight to the graveyard. What's the most important ritual that decides if your car keeps running smoothly past 200,000 miles, or gives up before it even hits 100,000? The answer comes down to the simplest check you can do without any tools, without a mechanic, and without spending a dime. It only takes 2 minutes, yet most drivers never bother. That small step is looking at your engine oil. Oil isn't just one of the fluids under your hood. It's the lifeblood of the engine. Every single moving part depends on it. Pistons racing up and down, valves opening and closing, bearings spinning at thousands of revolutions per minute. Without a steady film of oil coating and cushioning those pieces, metal meets metal and instantly starts grinding itself down. Think of it like a human body running without blood flow. The heart, lungs, and muscles wouldn't work. For an engine, oil is that critical flow, and the moment it drops too low or grows too dirty, the clock starts ticking on irreversible harm. The problem is that too many car owners trust mileage or their dashboard lights to tell them when it's time for an oil change or refill. They figure, I'll wait until 5,000 miles, or the oil light will let me know. But here's what actually happens. A dashboard light doesn't illuminate until oil pressure gets dangerously low. By then, damage has already been happening seconds at a time, every time you start the car. It's a system designed to warn at the last possible moment, not to guide ongoing care. Picture this. You try to run a marathon without drinking any water along the route. At first, you might feel okay, but as the miles pass, your body overheats, muscles begin cramping, and each step does more damage you can't undo. That's exactly what an engine goes through when you cross thousands of miles without looking at your oil. The wear is slow at first, but it builds, leaving scars on the moving parts that never heal. And here's where your eyes and nose beat any fancy sensor. Pulling out the dipstick tells you a lot more than you'd think. Healthy oil has a light amber look, smooth and clean. When you rub it between your fingers, it should feel slick, not gritty. Smell it, and it should just have a faint oily scent. But when that oil turns jet black, thick, or smells burnt, it's screaming for attention. Sometimes you'll even spot metal flecks or sludge stuck to the dipstick, signals that your engine is already wearing down inside. No dashboard monitor will give you those clues. Only a quick monthly check will. Here's why this matters so much. Even running just 1 quart low puts enormous stress on the engine. That means less fluid to circulate through all those parts, which causes certain areas to rub raw against each other. Once those scratches and grooves form, they don't heal. Even if you add oil later, it's permanent harm. Over time, parts start jamming, bearings fail, or heat builds up beyond control. All of that starts from simply not opening the hood for a moment each month. The payoff couldn't be bigger. This 1 2-minute check saves thousands in future repair bills. It guards your engine against catastrophic seizure and keeps it running years longer than cars whose owners gamble on warning lights. Think about it. 2 minutes now buys you possibly 5, even 10 more years of dependable life from your vehicle for zero cost. That's not just maintenance. That's protecting your biggest investment after your home. And while oil is the core of engine survival, it isn't the only silent danger under your hood. There's another fluid most drivers forget even more often. One that doesn't just wear parts down over time, but can actually cook your engine alive in a matter of minutes. What if your engine could literally boil itself to death, and you wouldn't even know until it was far too late? That's exactly the hidden danger that sits silently under most hoods. Engines generate extreme heat every time they run, and the only reason they don't instantly destroy themselves is because coolant constantly absorbs that heat and carries it away. In other words, if oil is the heart's blood of an engine, coolant is its air conditioner. The moment that cooling system fails, everything inside overheats, warps, and cracks in a matter of minutes. This isn't the kind of problem you slowly ease into. It's instant disaster when it happens. Now here's the strange part. Even though overheating is one of the most common killers of engines, many drivers never even glance inside the coolant reservoir. They wait until steam is pouring out on the side of the road before realizing something went wrong. Mechanics see it every day. Cars towed in with bent cylinder heads, melted plastic parts, and warped seals, all because no one opened the hood to see if the coolant was still healthy. It's a problem that hides in plain sight, and the fix takes just seconds. But here's where people get careless and sometimes hurt themselves. Everyone has heard that you should never open the radiator cap when the engine is hot. That's not just a suggestion. It's something that can cause severe burns. Hot coolant under pressure can spray out like a geyser, reaching nearly boiling temperatures. If you lift that cap too soon after driving, you're risking skin-blistering injuries in an instant. That's why the safe move is checking the translucent reservoir tank, which is designed to let you see levels and color without ever opening the system. But the fact that most people don't even take that easy glance is exactly why so many cars suffer preventable damage. Coolant isn't supposed to just be there. Its appearance reveals a lot about your engine's health. Fresh coolant usually shows up as a bright green, orange, or pink liquid, depending on your manufacturer's spec. That vivid color is actually a sign of strong anti-corrosion chemicals and heat protection. Compare that to coolant that looks rusty, brown, or filled with sediment. That's metal from inside your engine corroding. Even more alarming is milky or foamy coolant, which almost always points toward a blown head gasket. That's no small fix. It means engine fluids are mixing where they absolutely shouldn't. And in many cases, the repair costs are closer to replacing the car than patching it. The image is haunting if you think about it. A car can silently cook itself from the inside out, with the temperature gauge creeping upward as the coolant breaks down. Gaskets shrink, metal expands, and once head warping begins, there's no reversing it. Researchers have documented that engines can reach permanent damage temperatures within just a few minutes of overheating. That means by the time you notice steam coming from your hood, the harm has already been done. And yet, the solution takes less than 10 seconds. Pop the hood when the car is cold, check that the reservoir is filled to the proper line, and glance at the color. That small move is completely free. It doesn't leave you with greasy hands, doesn't require tools, and can spare you from the nightmare of a $2,000 to $4,000 head gasket job, or worse, a complete engine replacement. For a task so quick and simple, it's shocking how often people skip it. But here's what's even more surprising. Not every silent engine killer comes from fluids at all. Sometimes the culprit isn't heat or lubrication, but something far simpler, a weak electrical connection hiding in plain sight that can mimic major engine failure. What if your car started misfiring, stalling, or even shutting off completely, and instead of the engine being the problem, the real culprit was nothing more than a dirty connection? Most drivers think of engines as purely mechanical, pistons, valves, and belts. But today's vehicles rely on electricity just as much as fuel. Every sensor reading, every ignition sequence, and every squirt of fuel into the cylinder happens because of carefully timed electrical signals. When those signals get interrupted, the entire car can act like it's falling apart. The mistake that a lot of people make is rushing straight to a mechanic for advanced diagnostics. They think maybe it's the fuel pump, maybe it's a failing transmission, or maybe their engine control module has gone bad. These are all costly repairs, easily crossing $500 or even $1,000. But sometimes the real reason is far simpler. It can come down to the way electricity flows, or fails to flow, from your battery. A weak connection at a terminal, or a corroded ground strap that can't carry current, can trick the car into showing symptoms that look catastrophic. The signs of this problem are even visible if you know what to look for. Peek under the hood and check the battery terminals. If you see a chalky white crust forming around the clamps, or a green fuzzy coating creeping along the cables, that's corrosion eating away at the connection. Those buildups aren't harmless. They choke the flow of electricity, adding resistance every time your car tries to start, fire injectors, or communicate with electronic modules. Picture water trying to flow through a hose packed with sand. The supply is still there, but it can't reach the place it needs to go. Once that flow is restricted, the problems multiply. The current meant for spark plugs might drop, leading to irregular firing in one or more cylinders. Sensors that monitor airflow or fuel mixture might not get enough voltage to feed accurate readings to the engine computer. That faulty information leads to the car thinking it needs to change timing or dump extra fuel, which makes performance worse instead of better. In some cases, even transmissions begin to behave unpredictably because so much of their control is electrical. What starts as a crusty clamp ends up looking like a complete engine failure. Think about how frustrating it is when you try to charge a smartphone with a cable that has frayed wires inside. The phone might connect 1 minute, disconnect the next, or charge at a fraction of the correct speed. You spend hours thinking your phone is slowing down for no reason, when all it needed was a clean, reliable connection. That exact scenario plays out under the hood of cars every day. The difference is that while a phone glitch annoys you, a car glitch convinces people to spend thousands trying to fix problems they never had in the first place. The good news is that the fix is remarkably simple. Cleaning battery terminals doesn't require a special product. A small wire brush or even an old toothbrush paired with a mixture of baking soda and water can scrub away the acidic residue. Once the corrosion is gone, tightening down the clamps ensures strong contact, and applying a thin layer of petroleum jelly or dielectric grease helps protect against buildup returning. The process takes about 5 minutes, and it turns a weak, inconsistent system back into a strong one. With terminals clean and ground solid, phantom problems disappear. Engines fire evenly, sensors read correctly, and computers stop throwing error codes that never should have appeared. What could easily spiral into hundreds of dollars in diagnostics and unnecessary part replacements gets solved by a quick wipe down anyone can do at home. Strong, clean electrical pathways prevent the ripple of issues that trick so many owners into believing they have replaced a sensor or module in vain. Think about the peace of mind in knowing you didn't just save money but also spared yourself weeks of frustration at a repair shop. All it took was spending a few minutes once a month keeping the simplest points of contact clean. Combine that with the oil and coolant checks, and suddenly those little habits you spend less than 15 minutes on each month become the cheat code for keeping your car alive and dependable for years beyond the average lifespan. Engines rarely die from sudden, dramatic failures. They break down because small routines are ignored month after month until the damage builds up. Oil, coolant, and clean connections all act as safeguards, yet most people never give them the attention they need. The truth is, just 15 minutes spread across a whole month can prevent thousands of dollars in repairs. That same short investment also adds years to your car's lifespan, pushing it well past what most drivers expect. You don't need to be a mechanic to make your engine last. You just need a consistent habit, and it starts now.